Well, here we are back again. It's almost a new year. Christmas is long gone. And I've brought one of the lower wings, the left lower wing into the hangar here. And I'll get it ready to fit up. It needs to have the aileron fitted and the flight controls. They're all ready to go. They've been painted and everything else, so that's good. The rollover stands have been released, so they can go back and be attached to the fourth and final wing. But yeah, this is the wing here. I'm happy with the paintwork. It turned out pretty good. But like I say, I will install the aileron while it's in this position. It's just too difficult it would be too difficult to try and do keyhole surgery through this little tiny hole that I've left. That hole is so that I can get at the end of this bolt. But yeah, imagine working upside down on there. No, we're not going to do that. These two are where the bolts go through to hold the interplane struts. The interplane struts will be on the other side, of course, but the bolts actually. I wasn't going to do this at all. I was going to try and install the bolts and work around them. No, it was just too hard. So the bolts will go through there, and then a plug will go in that hole. And of course this end is easy. It's open here and I can get to the bolt and everything else. There's no need for keyhole surgery. So that should be reasonably easy to put on. And then of course we've got the aileron bell crank inside this hole here. I've got the rigging pin hole here. I think this angle is meant to be something like 11 degrees to this rib. So I set that, and then I drilled a hole through there and through this structural so that we can use that to rig. So I put the pin in there, and then this aileron pushrod tube should come up through this. There'll be a panel on top of this, come through the panel down and connect to the aileron about here somewhere. And when the aileron's in the stream position, lined up with this rib, nice and neat with the trailing edge, and that pin's in, that's your rigging. That's your rigging done. Then the other push rod goes from there out and through and joins up to the control column. Right. Down there somewhere on that. Yeah, the black thing in the dark area. Yeah, right, okay, no worries. Anyway, it will connect there. If we get the cushion out of the way, it might even be easier to see. Yeah, no, you still can't see. Anyway, that's where it connects. We'll work through that over the next couple of videos. But that's it. Let's get moving and put the aileron on. The aileron's already here somewhere. It's over the back of the hangar there somewhere. I'm sure I can find it. And yeah, there we go. Hope everybody had a good Christmas. I certainly did. And of course, New Year's coming. Alrighty, this left wing has been removed from the rollover stands. The rollover stands are just about ready to go back into the other hangar. They're over right here. So they'll head back over in the next few days. But for now, that black thing, hopefully, is the left-hand aileron. We'll see how we go. It may be the right-hand one, but anyway, let's open it up and have a look. These have been packed up for quite a while. They were painted and finished, I don't know, a couple of months ago, something like that. And I've just got 2 garbage bags tied over the top, just to keep the dust off. This is my very best granny knot, so it'll be difficult to undo it. Righto. Now hopefully it's a left-hand nail roll. Look at that. And I think it is. A miracle. Yep, this is the bottom of the aileron, this is the bottom of the wing. I don't know if you can see it, but it looks like it's a different colour. There it is. There it looks much lighter colour, but it's obviously on a different angle to the wing, so the colour might very well be different. Now, let's have a look here. This is where the this is the aileron pivot bolt right there. Obviously, I'll have to take some paint off that. If you've got an earlier model Renegade, yours may look different to that. This is later model aeroplanes were done this way. The earlier ones had a riv nut arrangement. There was a riv nut either in here or in the aileron, and then the centre drilled out, so it didn't have any threads in it, and they used that as a bearing. This is a far superior way of doing it. But anyway, let's see if we can't get them off and have a look at what we've got. We'll have a look at the end of the aileron for starters. I'll take you around and show you that. Zoom you in a bit. Yeah, this is the bearing in the aileron. It's riveted on with 5 countersunk rivets. That piece we just looked at, that pivot point, goes into here. A nut goes on the back, split pin, castellated nut. There will be a little tiny bit of end float, so the aileron can move a little bit each way, left and right. You don't really want it tight. Yeah, obviously in turbulence or whatever, if the wing deforms a little bit because it's got load on it, you don't want to lock an aileron up so that you've then got no steerage. That would probably wreck your entire day, I reckon, or a fair part of it anyway. Yeah, so we want it to have a little bit of end float so that it can move a little bit left and right if it needs to. Obviously up the other end, up this end, is exactly the same thing. There's another pivot bolt right there. This is a little stainless steel piece that goes over the top. It doesn't need to have paint on it. It needs to fit in that bearing on the aileron. So, yeah, we need to clean that paint off for starters, and probably the paint off the nut as well. Or I just grab a new nut. I've got stacks of those. All right, let's see if we can't install the aileron. All right, we're just about ready to put the aileron on. I've cleaned these little bushings up. They're stainless steel bushings. They fit into the bearing on the aileron itself, and they slide over this bolt. Yeah, they're a nice fit on there. Now, to actually control the end float, the drawing calls for nylon washers. Yeah, I was able to buy these at Bunnings Aerospace, which is, I guess, probably the same as Harbour Freight or something like that, from what I see. So there you go, that goes on there, and I've got one for the other end, and we'll just fit them up, one on each side, and see what the aileron looks like. If it needs to go one way or the other, then I can move these, or maybe even put an extra one or an extra two in. We won't know that until we've actually tried to install the aileron. So, I'll take the bolt and the hardware out of the outboard end altogether, and I'll offer this aileron up and see what happens. Of course, I can't see what's happening. That should be sort of reasonable. Oh, look at that, straight in. Now, up this end, we'll put the bolt in. I know you can't see, and I apologise, but not much I can do about it. Put the nylon washer, put the bushing, the stainless steel bushing. This time I'll put the bushing into the aileron. That's pretty close to the mark. I outsmarted myself a little bit. I'll take you up the other end. I outsmarted myself just a tad by putting this thing in, so I can't get at the inside. By putting this plastic plug in. And of course it's the only one on the face of the planet that wants to fit and not come out again. Excellent. Try and get you to a place where you can see what's going on with any luck. There we go. Yeah, I don't want to go pushing the bolt in, or I'll push the stainless steel bush into the aileron. And of course, non-magnetic stainless steel should be really easy to get back out again. Right, don't think I'll use that one again. There's the stainless steel bush. He had pushed right through. That's okay, we'll put the bolt back in him. Like that. Now, that end float I was talking about, oh, there's a little tiny bit. It's not ridiculous. Matter of fact, that's probably a bit more than I'd like. But it's not bad. And we look at the gap on the aileron. This will move a little bit, depending when the tip goes on. I could use a thin washer. This is a thick one, but I could use a thin one and take some of that end float out. It's a little tiny bit more than I'd like. So where do I want to put it? Do I want to put it up that end, or do I want to put it at this end? Let's just make a call. This is the easy end to work on, so let's put it here. And yes, it's I've got two fat ones. I don't have a skinny one, of course. I'll be back. Alrighty. That's the best I can do for you. This end float, yeah, there's more than I want. I can't fit another nylon washer in. That would just be too, that's just too much. I do have a thin, whoopsie, there, a thin steel washer, which I can try and fit that in between the nylon and the actual bracket. So let's see if we can do that. Got my surgical equipment at the ready. We just grab hold of the edge of the washer. These I'm not going to do a heart transplant or anything, but these actually lock, and they're really, really good for the tasks like this. Now we've got some control, we can get it in there, and yes, it will go between the nylon and the bracket. But unfortunately we're going to have to take it apart to be able to fit that in. I'm probably going to be in your way to see this, but let's take the bolt out for starters. Doesn't really matter where we want the bolt, where we want the washer. Actually, I can just grab a normal washer and put him there like that. Bring that down. And then put the bolt back in. Through everything through the little stainless bush, and look at that, the tiniest little bit of end float. Fantastic. Now you won't be able to see this, I guess. I can try and show you, but I don't think we're going to be successful. Now all we have to do, yep, we need a torch. Try this. Now you can see. All we have to do now is go inside there, put the nut on that bolt, and install a split pin. We may even put a washer, actually. A washer to bear on the little stainless steel bit that you can possibly see. Yeah, see the little stainless steel bit? You can put a washer on the bolt and it'll bear on that stainless bit. Do it up, try and torque it, good luck, and then put the split pin, and it'll be the same up this end. Yeah, I've got to pull that plug out first. But there you go. One lower aileron installed. Well, apart from the nut and the split pin. Now I've shown you this before. I'll put you back on the tripod. I've shown you this before, but I'll show you again. This is how I lubricate hinges and things like that. Bearings maybe, but things that move a little bit. This is the lubrication I use for that sort of thing. It's actually chain lube for push bikes, bicycles, for the wet, yeah? So the water doesn't wash it off quite so easy. This bottle costs $20, which is a lot for a bottle of oil. Imagine buying a bottle of 3-in-1 for $20. Yeah, good luck with that. It costs about $3. But you use such a small amount, this will probably last me for 2 or 3 aeroplanes, in fact, last forever. So it's dear, but it goes a long way. So anyway, that's what I use. You use whatever you feel like yourself, but I use the wet one. There is another one for dry conditions. I figured the wet one would probably stick itself on better, a little bit better. So far, it's worked a treat. So that's part of my annual servicing. I use a syringe to give me only access to the actual point that I really want, like I want some lubricant in there, so I can put it exactly where I want it. And of course we've got a brass bush attached, riveted to the aileron, and a stainless steel bush that the two bear against each other. And I'll just do this other end while I'm here. It is that I'm up to. But yeah, there's one aileron in position except for the nuts. It has end float, but only the tiniest little bit, maybe 20 or 30 thousandths of an inch. What that is in millimetres, no idea, but a tiny bit. A few tenths of a millimetre anyway, probably not even that. Okay. Yep, time to pack it in. Catch up with you tomorrow. Well, here's the outboard aileron pivot bolt. It was so easy, in fact, that I didn't bother filming it, of course. Basically, I put the bolt in, made sure that I had the right amount of washers. I've got one skinny washer under the nut here, and I've got one skinny washer over here under the head of the bolt, which is just in that rib. Did the nut up. The torque on, there's a 1/4 inch bolts. The torque on a 1/4 inch bolts is 50 to 70 inch-pounds. So I did it up to 50 inch-pounds, took a look, and the split pin hole was absolutely spot on. So I slipped the split pin in, spread the legs on the split pin, game over. That's all it took. It was as simple as that. Absolutely simple as that. I marked, not that it needed it, but here's the head of the bolt. That red line is more or less parallel with the split pin hole, so I knew where I had to look. I knew I knew where the hole in the bolt was going to be. I really didn't need it. So yeah, that's all finished. This particular one is all finished. The other one, however, this one, it's going to be right up there with pushing the toothpaste back into the tube as far as degree of difficulty is concerned. That one down the other end was like a 1 or a 2. This is going to be a 10 plus. So anyway, let's battle on and see how we go. I'm not going to record it all, so there's no need to start panicking about boredom, but step 1 will be to try and get a washer and a nut on this particular bolt and see how the threads look. See how much room I've got to put a split pin in. Let's see how we go. Alrighty, here's the nut that I intend putting on. I've got it on the end of my magnet. This is a telescoping magnet. I can extend it or I can retract it. So this is fine. I can put it in there and put my finger in. If I've only got the skinny extension sticking out, that one, I can get it in and put it on the bolt and in conjunction with my finger. Get it on the bolt somehow and then slip the magnet. Nah, maybe I have to leave my finger there forever. Oh, that's not lined up. I missed. Have another go. Alright, we'll get the nut in there. We'll find the bolt there. Slip the nut in here. Now, what I need to do, I'll just pull you back a little bit so I've got some space. What I need to do is now move the aileron up, and hopefully this nut will pick up on one of the threads. Of the bolt. Maybe. This is my my little ratchet with a deep socket. I can just get on the head of the bolt and turn the bolt. Maybe. There. Think so. I think so. This is this ratchet. I've shown you this before. The ratchet's not really a ratchet, it's more like a sprag clutch. So there's no coming back up on the pawl. As soon as you start going forward, it starts to drive the socket immediately. I think it's going about, you know, a tenth of a flat at a time. It's actually not going at all. again. Just got to have patience, I guess. No. That feels better. Well, the nut's stuck on the end of the bolt. I'll try and light it up for you. So it has picked up. Where are we? Right there. That's the, believe it or not, the nut has started threading onto the bolt. There we go. If we can get a spanner on that nut, like maybe not that. Yeah, the nut's about halfway on. So I'll put you to one side and I'll do the rest of the nut up if I can. Well, if you're very, very lucky, you can see the nut. I've taken the washer off. I just simply could not get it with the skinny washer on there as well. I took the washer off, did it up. It's torqued up beautifully, and the split pin fell straight in. I'm just amazed. However, I haven't spread the split pin yet. Well, I basically want the nut to turn a little bit further so that I can get at the legs of the split pin. So let's see if we can manage that. Now you can drop I'm actually putting the socket in this hole. I don't know whether you can see both things at once, or maybe you can. Try and get on the head of the bolt. No, I want to turn the other way. Okay. Try again. Get onto the head of the bolt. And I want to want to turn towards me on the handle of the ratchet. Now I can't get on the head of the bolt. It's there somewhere, I know it is. Been there before. It sounded good, but it wasn't right. There we are. Now if we turn, yes, which we certainly can't. And I'll try and turn that bolt around until the legs are facing towards me, so I'll bring you back. Okay. Well, you didn't catch any of that, but I've put the split pin in, spread the legs. It's as good as we're going to get. Can we see it? Yes, you can, more or less. Maybe around a little bit more. How about maybe there? Ooh, almost got a glimpse of it. There it is there with the legs spread. The aileron functions perfectly without any tight spots. Yeah, it falls under its own weight. Fabulous. Okay, we've still got a little bit more to go. Now what we need is this. Come up a little bit more. Got a few tools spread out all over the place. What we need is this device connecting the aileron to the aileron bell crank. This is the aileron bell crank. Remember we drilled a hole in it as for a rigging pin. This is a 12-inch number 40 drill. That's my rigging pin. We can stick it in there, stick it through the structure, get it right in, we should be right, without bringing it out through the fabric on the other. There we are. Through the structure, through the bell crank, and there we go. This rod goes about there. And I think this bolt actually goes upside down. It's good practice to put a bolt in so the nut faces downwards. That's usually how it's done. But I think here we want the clearance from the top of the bolt to this little piece of structure here. We want clearance in there. The nut wouldn't, if the nut was facing up, it wouldn't give us the clearance we want. So yeah, I think it goes upside down to normal convention. So that will go about there. Take the rigging pin out again for a second. There should be clearance under here, which fairly much there is, especially if the nut was on and it was done up. Yeah. Let's just set the nut on there so it doesn't fall to pieces and lose half my bits. Okay, we'll do this up shortly. Put the rigging pin back in. About there somewhere. Like that. Now when the rigging pin's in and everything's where it should be, this aileron should be lined up in the streamline position, about there. Oh, that was clever. Bet you I couldn't do that again. One washer on the outside. Okay. Now this rod should face about there like that. About how it goes. I need to do this bolt up first. Are you seeing any of this? And yeah, that should be in the streamline position. Pretty damn close. Let's just have a look at this for a minute. We are fairly well streamlined. Yeah, there's a bit of slop in there, but we're pretty close to the mark. Zoom you in a bit. Now if you can see, there's a whole bunch of washers here. That's to try and move this rod over so that it is more or less parallel with the airflow once it's fitted to the aeroplane. Now we can move these around a little bit. That rod end can go in the middle, like that. This has got, now it's got room to move. Of course, there's a panel that goes on there. This will be replaced with a nylock nut, maybe even a slightly longer bolt. But that's pretty much it. This orange tube, I painted one of the tubes orange because it's going to go in the cockpit and I really don't want to be standing on it, so I painted it a colour that would hopefully stand out. Whether it does or not remains to be seen. There we go, back up there. This orange tube will connect to this bell crank in that location. Before we fit that, and we're fairly happy that the rigging pin locates it where we want it, we'll take the rigging pin out. I'll put you on the side here somewhere. Where you can see both. Yeah. The aileron should move through about that range. We'll check the range later on, maybe not today, but we'll check it fairly soon. And we'll line this rod up so that it's in the correct place as well. But yeah, the aileron's happy, it moves through its range fairly well. These plugs can go back in. We had so much trouble getting that out, remember? It just pops straight back in. There's the other one. That probably should be a little more vertical, but we can do that. There we go. That's a bit better. We just got to check that it will actually travel through its range. Not better. This one was better when it was looser, about there. Now both rod ends turn. Turn through their full range, through their whole level of movement. Beautiful. Beautiful. See if I can find the hatch. Well, I found the hatch. Here it is here. And of course there's this kidney-shaped cutout, because that's an unusual movement that the aileron pushrod makes. And it's just got a split. Well, there's a split in the hatch. There's not a split in the paintwork. But that goes there like that. That's all you're going to see from the outside world. Hopefully it travels somewhere through that range. Yep, and over there. And we're gonna, yeah, that's about as far as it goes there. And even up there it doesn't go all that far either. I will have to adjust it probably. That might do us for today. That might just do us. Have a look at it from this angle. The hatch isn't bolted down yet, so don't expect miracles from that just yet. But that's pretty good. I'm pretty happy. These big washers, if that bearing fails, it means the rod can't fall off altogether. It's trapped that way, and I don't want it flapping over here either, because if that bearing were to fail and this were to come right over to here, you'd be carrying a lot of aileron on one side of the aeroplane, which is probably not a very good thing. I'm happy. That's beautiful. Really nice. Well, this is pretty much how the push rods are meant to go. We're more or less in the neutral position with the rigging pin in its hole. And the trailing edge of the aileron and the trailing edge of the wing are pretty close to being the same. There's a fair bit of backlash in there, and if you line them up, there's hardly any load on that rigging pin at all. So that's probably pretty much about right. Pretty much. At this stage of the game, we'll take the pin out without dropping the aileron. You know, it's a number 40 12-inch drill. Now all we want to do at this stage of the game is to make sure that the aileron will move through its 25 degrees down and its 20 degrees down and 15 degrees up. Here's my clinometer on my phone. We'll line that back up to about where the trailing edges are lined up, about there, about 10 degrees roughly. Doesn't matter what it is. We just want to make sure that it's going to go more than the 20 degrees. So that was 10. It needs to go to, in the up direction. This wing's upside down, remember. That's 10 degrees, 15, and 20. Yeah, so it will go the 20 degrees without anything fouling or anything. It'll actually go well beyond the 20 degrees. Now, if we line it back up again, back to our 10, and we come the other way, we go, there's 10 degrees. And if we keep going, there's 14, there's 15 degrees, which is about what it needs to do. And there's another 11, 12 degrees. So it'll actually go way more than it needs to. And the other direction, it goes way more than it needs to. That's all we need to know at this stage. Yeah, it's that's nothing else. We can't set the stops because, well, there aren't any. We'll try and have a look over here. We'll have a look over here. Here's the control column. There's my phone, of course. And this black thing that goes left and right across the screen is basically the aileron stops. Yeah, so if we move the control column all the way over to the left, that black thing contacts the carry through and acts as a stop. There's a little rubber buffer on the bottom of that black device, as is the one on the other side. And if we move the control column all the way to the other side, that's the stop for that direction. Yeah, so they'll come into play once the wings are on. Yeah. All right, here's a quick look at differential aileron. This is one I prepared earlier. This is my RV6. The aileron and the wing should line up, and that's exactly what we're trying to do with the Renegade. Okay, and the stick, when that's lined up, the stick should be fair and square in the middle or straight up and down. Now, we're going to move the stick to the left, yeah, and this aileron's going to go up, and it goes up about that much, yeah, maybe what, 120 millimetres, something like that, 5 inches, somewhere around that. Now we're back to the centre again, and now we go the other way. And have a look at this. It moves about 3 inches, or maybe about 75 millimetres. That's differential aileron. And hopefully that's built into the Renegade as well. But that's the 20-cent lesson for the day. I know most of you know more about it than I do, but anyway. Yeah, we might, I might wind this video up here and put it out for New Year's. I'll try and get it out tonight so that you can waddle around the house and try and get over the hangover or whatever you got up to on New Year's Eve. And yeah, I'll catch up with you next year. So everybody have a lovely New Year's. Whatever you get up to, enjoy it. Of course, I'll be flying tomorrow. I've got to fly on the 1st, if you can, and definitely get my feet off the ground. It's probably going to be a normal summer's day here. Relatively calm in the morning, beautiful weather, and then hot as all buggery by lunchtime. And then windy as well. So it's got everything. It'll be a mixed bag. So I'll go and try and have a little fly in the morning. I might record it for you, I might not, just depends how I feel. But yeah, so anyway, have a very, very, very happy New Year, and I'll catch up with you next year. See you. Bye now. One little PS. The fourth and final wing has been mounted on the rollover engine stands. It's been degreased and washed and rinsed and everything else. So it's ready to get its green EcoBond, diluted EcoBond, and I'll do that probably on the 2nd. Maybe tomorrow, but probably on the 2nd. But yeah, it's good feeling. The hangar's almost back to where I can put aeroplanes back in it again. Once I get rid of that monstrosity, my $139 Bunnings Aerospace paint booth, yeah, it's got to go. I've had enough, it'll go to the tip. It's just about falling down, but it did its job. I'm happy with that. Anyway, catch you next year. Bye now.